All right, Nick. One last time, man. One last time. Let's see if we can't get a walk-off. And by walk-off, I mean, like, go ahead in the inning and then have to get 3 outs in the ninth.
Oh, we made it, Trace.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
Did you think we'd do all 162 for real when we started?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. It's a big. That's called. Hold on. That's a big testament to you, my man. To be honest with you, that we did all 162 is that's a large reason for that.
I think Game 3 only went on Twitter for some reason. It didn't go on YouTube Live, but
yeah, we probably
it was still up.
We made it.
Still up. Ugh. All right, I just saw the first pitch. I'm gonna sync it up here. I'll tell you when I'm assuming you haven't seen the first pitch yet.
No.
Nope. All right, I got it paused at 9 on the 1-0 count.
12. Yeah, no, that's hilarious that you're a whole pitch ahead of me. That's a ball, but it was a strike. But they called it a ball. Here we go.
I think it's quick.
13, 12, 11, 10, 9, right. 8. Yep.
We're good.
All right, here we go. See if CES can't do some magic here. Come one, come all. Ricky Logan's asking for likes, baby. Sadak and Chris saying bye to each other. All right, Nick.
Oh,
something, isn't it?
Tell you what, I don't know if I should say this. I did see Sadak in Cleveland, and my man looked exhausted.
Yeah. He hasn't done this many baseball games either, though, has he? Well, I guess
no. I think he did all 162 last year too.
Yeah.
He's one of the few announcers that calls every game. I mean, a lot of them have other duties and whatnot, but
yeah.
I don't. He hasn't missed a series,
Shambi
has
for
he?
the Cubs doing playoff games too.
Yeah. Oh, nice to see Marte keep his hit streak alive.
See if Marte can't find a way to get on base. Get down. He's trying to. Not again, Marte.
Oh.
No, see? Aggressive, baby. Got to be aggressive. Let's go. Let's go. Season's not done. I didn't say it wasn't dead. I said it wasn't done. Before I get people chirping me. Before my optimism and my happiness gets so over the top that people want to get mad at me.
Everyone on opening day next year when they flash that up. Oh yeah, he's still got an active 16-game hit streak. You know, I try to remember. He was the Ed Tobinsey. There was someone that had a.
Come on. Oh, how does he not score on that, bro? He must have thought it was in the air farther. Like,
yeah, that's
that's
tells you strikeout ability. You want to score.
Well, he must have just not got a good read on that, because otherwise that ball was hit plenty far enough and it was down. It looked like it was down. Let's see the replay.
Please
yeah, he stuttered a couple times. Yeah. Please tell me. Marte knew it.
Oh,
Friday on righty.
Right in the pitch.
Just steal second. Let's steal second. Benson, steal it.
Home. Oh, it's all right on right. I tell you what, Steer, India, and Friedel must be real just gassed.
Steal it. Run. Senzel for one time. Nick, you got to steal second base. You got to. I mean, you got to run.
Do the old.
If we hit into a ground ball right here for a double play and we don't run, I mean, I'm gonna be way too frustrated over something that shouldn't matter. Just there's no choice. Thank you. All right, now we're talking.
Come on, put the ball in play. Come on. Please don't make this season come down to Stuart Fairchild.
No, I do. I want it. Stewie's going to come through with a big hit.
It all comes down to Stuart Fairchild.
Nick Senzel, boy, I tell you. You want to talk about it? You want to talk about an all-star from one side to the next? He literally, he might as well play. He might as well play for the Y'alls when a right-hander's up there, but he could play for the NL All-Stars when the lefty's up there. Good take. This would be excruciating if this was for the postseason.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think you'd be seeing
Nick Senzel's not
Stuart
hitting
Fairchild against Ryan Helsley. This is for the postseason.
Yeah,
unless Spencer Steer and TJ Friedel's legs fell off on the way to the stadium.
What are we doing? I thought I was falling there for a second. It's a good pitch. Good take. Great take. That's a hell of a take, dude. I'll say it one more time just so everyone knows that. I mean, that's an elite take, dude. How do you lay off a slider right there like that? All right, stick around. It's going to be a decent show, I promise. Let's do one more show, Nick. Let's do one more show. right, Nick. Reds drop game 162. They lose 4-3 to the St. Louis Cardinals. It did not have any implications on the postseason, and it showed in a variety of ways throughout Major League Baseball. You can certainly tell who had something to play for today and who did not. But overall, we got some things to discuss. There's some big news right after we get through with number 19, and then obviously we'll discuss this game probably relatively briefly, considering, again, I don't know how you feel about it, but it was just one of those days where you had to go out there and play because that's what Major League Baseball says you have to do, and that's what they did. So Hunter Green's obviously another probably area of conversation a little bit. But anything that you want to get to before we get to the box score recap?
Nah, 162. Man, it's gonna be a long, exciting off season, but you're really gonna have like a countdown this off season, and yeah, man, when we get into like January, I think we're gonna be, man, just really dying for it to come back.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
You got a super chat. You want to get to that first?
Yeah, let's do the super chat. If we get a couple super chats in a row, I'm gonna try to do all those in one little area of the show. So don't get alarmed if I don't read a super chat immediately. But Ned with a $20 super chat, man, very very kind of you, says, I hope your business thrives. You guys are the best, most fun I've had during a season ever. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to change for what you do. We'll support you. We'll support what we love. We want this to go on forever. Nothing else like it. Go Reds. Sorry, Ned, I can't read tonight. Carolyn says, thanks for the memories. We're not dying. Carolyn, thank you. First super chat by her. Also, don't feel obligated to do super chats today, please. All right. If you want to do one, sure, but don't feel like if you don't do one, we don't appreciate you. I asked for people to come back in this show. I didn't know what this show was going to look like. There's 30-something people in here for a worthless game, for really not a whole lot to talk about outside the fact of what we plan to do with this show moving forward, and us really to get a chance to say thank you. So we'll get a chance to say thank you. So Sir Boy, thank you as well. He says thank you, Trace and Nick. Let's do the box score recap really quickly, and then we'll do the super chats. Okay? We'll do the super chats at one time. Take it away, Nick.
All right, game 162, top of the first. Nick Martini hitting leadoff. Smoked the ball 425 feet, 107 off the bat. Made it 1-0 Reds. Home run number 6 for Martini, and today was only his 17th game that he started in. Cardinals tied it up off Hunter Green on a sac fly in the second inning, and then in the third inning, Stuart Fairchild doubled, and then Ellie doubled him home to make it 2-1 Reds. But Hunter Green gave up 3 runs in the top of the third. That put the Cardinals up 4-2. Reds got a little closer in the 7th. Stuart Fairchild again had an RBI double, made it 4-3. Alex Young pitched a perfect 6th. Alan Buznitz pitched a perfect 7th and 8th, including retiring Adam Wainwright, pinch hitting with the St. Louis faithful on their feet. Reds made it interesting in the top of the 9th. They had runners on second and third for Nick Senzel with just 1 out, but the Cardinals, great closer Ryan Helsley struck out Senzel and Fairchild to end the game. Noelvi Marte did extend his hit streak. He'll go into the offseason riding a 16-game hit streak, but the Reds fall 4-3. Reds finish 82-80 on the 2023 season. That's your final box score recap presented by Betfred Sportsbook.
Love it. There's a lot of different ways to go about this, guys. Let's talk about the game really quickly. I don't want to gloss over that. I don't want to sit here and act like it was completely worthless. But for the most part, everybody stayed healthy, and that was nice. There's one thing that I'll probably get. You want more talk? One more rant, Trace. One more toxic, Trace. You'll probably get it on the next subject. I'm hopeful this team finds an ace going into next season. And by ace, I'm talking about a consistent guy that you can expect to go out there and go deep into a game. And how many of those guys are left in the big leagues, I don't know. I know I'm asking for like I'm asking for something that's really hard to find, Nick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it's easy to go out there and find a Justin Verlander or, Garrett Cole or whoever it may be that you want to pick over a certain year that was absolutely dominate. That would absolutely dominate, and you knew what you were getting every time out. I guess I'm not suggesting that Hunter Green's not that guy 100% yet. I just don't know if he's the guy that we should all sit here and act like that's what he has to be in order for him to be successful for this franchise. I'm not trying to move the goalposts on him. I've said it from time to time, Nick. I'll still continue to say it. I think he has the stuff to get to do what it takes to be an ace. I just don't know if he's going to be able to develop secondary pitches and be able to consistently control them enough to where he can be that guy. And he's still young. I'm not suggesting that he can't be. I would just hope that going into next season, we do add a veteran arm, and we can find some consistency out of this starting pitching to where we don't have to rely on the bullpen as much as we had done this year. And listen, the bullpen was fantastic, but again, I don't know if that's. It just seems like we're playing with fire a little bit with that. But that was my overall thoughts on Hunter Green. It just again another game where I don't want to make it sound like he got fortunate, but it was a little fortunate that it didn't get a little lopsided on the scoreline. But I'm not giving up on him. I don't want to make it sound like that. I would just hesitant to say that he's going to be a full-fledged ace. That's all.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird start to evaluate. I know Chris Welsh talked about on the broadcast, if this game meant something, would Hunter Green have looked a little bit different? Would he be a little more amped up? I mean, we'll never know the answer to that. I thought he did some good things today. Like 19 of the 26 batters that he faced, he threw a first pitch strike. He only walked one batter. He has given up a lot of hits, though, in some of these outings that have gone away. Like 9 hits is a lot of hits to give up. So, that's a little bit of a concern. It would have really been nice to see him just completely right off into this offseason on a huge high note. Obviously, a really bad start in Cleveland today. Missed start at best. The 4 starts before that were absolutely electric. So, I guess, this season is definitely a mixed bag with Hunter Green. I think there's plenty of reasons to still be very positive and think that Hunter Green absolutely is capable of taking a huge leap next season. And we kind of look back and go, why was anyone ever worried about him? But there also is some concerns too. The most important thing is can Hunter Green stay healthy for a full season? I'm curious if the season would have been a little bit different, from the get-go, like how, if because remember when they kind of shut Hunter Green down, I think the playoff odds were still pretty far-fetched, right? I would have been interested to see maybe what that would have looked like under different circumstances. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that the Reds can still win if he's a number 3 starter. But if he's able to take that leap, it could take the Reds to, I think, a much different level overall.
It can. I agree. It can. Nick Martini. I don't know what I don't know what we do with this guy. I mean, I don't want to let 1 month and a half decide. I don't want to be overreactionary about Nick Martini, but I think it's safe to say that we probably, in hindsight, could have gotten this guy some more at bats, some way, somehow. It didn't happen, so it's all for naught. Doesn't matter. It's all speculation at this point. And maybe he wouldn't have been anything better than what we were already running out there, anyways. But shout out to Nick Martini, man. He had a good game today, obviously, and on top of that, he had some big hits for this team, man. He had some big hits for this team. So I don't know. You suggested on X that Reds have to consider putting him on a 40-man.
Well, he's on the 40-man. You would
keeping him on the 40-man.
Yeah, we'll actually get to the off-season calendar a little later on, but I think you're gonna have to consider keeping this guy a 40-man roster spot. Obviously, those 40-man roster spots really start getting crunched when you start to take guys off of the 60-day IL. And, it's a lot easier to say, oh, you got to keep this guy. And then when you actually like look through every single player and you have to start making cuts, it becomes a lot more of a difficult situation. But I mean, a guy making league minimum that has that potential, uh, Nick Martini's why you don't want to spend a ton of money on a guy that's like a DH type player, because you can find guys like Nick Martini, um, and that have value. And yeah, I think right now, I mean, I would overall say I think he's worthy of a 40-man roster spot, and you ride him through the offseason, you get him to spring and see what happens. Again, we have to see what other moves there are, what other potential things the Reds are doing, how many players are maybe on the Reds active roster right now might they be looking to move in the offseason, and all those questions kind of have to be answered before you get to that. But right now, it seems crazy to say from where he came from, but I think he's definitely worthy of at least a really, really strong conversation.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do. They have some tough decisions to be made. We're there now. This is theoretically the offseason, I guess. There's some decisions that we know that are looming. And for those that didn't see, there was some comments made by Jonathan India yesterday that certainly felt like he was talking about the team in a separated way. I don't want to make it sound like 100% Jonathan India is gone, but it certainly feels like that's what is well known. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if you want to do that now. Do you want to get into do you want to get into people separating now? Do we move on to number 19 now, or do we wait?
Yeah, we can get into the separating. I mean, I think Nick Senzel probably played his last game with the Reds just because of his cost. Although I would completely not be against, I know probably a lot of other people are, I would not be against the idea of non-tendering Nick Senzel and trying to bring him back. The Reds did that with Kyle Farmer. I think a lot of people forget pre-2021. I think Nick Senzel is absolutely capable of being a solid platoon player in this league. I just don't know if we're talking 3-4 million, if that's in the Reds' best interest. And it also depends on, are the Reds going to look at bringing in a bona fide right-handed outfielder to add it to the mix, which is one of my off-season wish list items. So yeah, that's a guy to look at. That India comments were interesting. I can't help but also kind of think, was India maybe I don't think stirring the pot's the right word, but was India kind of, saying, hey, I'm going to put some pressure on him with these kind of comments, or was he just being emotional? Right. I mean,
Right.
it, it, those kind of situations are really tough to gauge what they're meaning by them. But yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Yeah. No, I think it is what it is, and we'll leave it at that. Speaking of separating, Joey Votto, I know officially it's not been announced. I think there's a decision to make for Joey. It's interesting to see what he ultimately does. I don't know how else to say it. I've been saying it for weeks. I know people. I'm not trying to say like I'm right, you're wrong, anything like that. I was trying to get out in front of this when it was still time to be able to enjoy him. I was trying to let people know in a way, and not that I'm like trying to, I guess I don't want that to come off the wrong way. I'm not trying to be anything that I'm not. I was just trying to basically say, listen, if you love Joey Votto, soak this in now, because you don't want to be told in the offseason that you didn't realize that it was his last game, when all the signs and everything has been pointing towards it was going to be his last game for some time. And I'm going to wait just a second before I talk about what happened today. I don't know how that happens, to be honest with you, Nick. I really don't. I don't know how that happens. I'm not going to get mad at Joey because I'm just not, I guess. I guess your overthoughts. We're both on the same page here. Before we do this number 19 thing, I don't want to speak where you don't believe something that I believe. You feel confident that this is his last game as a Red, and probably, in my opinion, is the last game he'll ever play.
I feel very confident it was his last game as the Red. I feel pretty confident it's the last game he ever plays. And I don't know how anyone could have watched how the last like 2 weeks have played out and think that the Reds are planning on bringing him back. I mean, they played him every single game at home, and then they didn't play him on the road until today. I don't. I mean, that seems like a pretty cut and dry what the Reds are going to do. It just, I don't even know if I really want to get into like the whole nuts and bolts of like why it's the right decision.
No, that's not the no.
It's
no.
not. This is not the
not,
time. This
no.
is not the time or place for that. I think
No.
we should just celebrate an
Correct.
incredible career. Today, at first, like we all thought he got ejected when he ran out. If that was the case, like I'm not really going to get all that upset and up. How many times you see a player that's like not due up, come out and yell, and like that's a pretty clear cut. But then when they showed that he got ejected from the dugout, I'm like, oh my gosh, like dude, have some feel. Like that's yeah. I think that's just another thing that adds to this like list of why it probably isn't for Votto. Votto was like, "Are you kidding me? This is my last day." He saw where that pitch was, and I just think that's another sign to kind of add to the mix here of that. Yeah, I mean this probably was the last game. At first, I was mad, and then to be honestly, like after a couple innings passed, I'm kind of like, you know what? That's kind of the most Joey Votto way to exit ever. Like that's
Right.
just it's gonna be kind of a funny like story in a couple years, right? Like remember how Joey Votto's last game went?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, here's where I'm at. I can't get mad at the guy for being frustrated. I understand where he's at. I think he's frustrated at a multitude of things. Like when you blow up on somebody, all of us have done this at some point in our lives, more than likely, right? You take something out that's frustrating you out on somebody that maybe doesn't fully deserve it. They might deserve it a little bit. They might have been the one that made a mistake, but they ultimately weren't the reason that you just completely blew up. I think that's where that umpire found himself today. I just, I'm trying to remove myself from the emotion of how I feel about it, because I think if I do, I'll make a little bit of a fool of myself on the internet and I'll come back and regret what I say. But it's going to take everything in my power not to find that guy's name and wait for him to come back to Great American Ballpark. And I would probably get thrown out, or there would be something to where, because you have to know what the situation is. You have to be honest with yourself when you're there. Even if you think that it was a marginal call, or that you're not 100% sure it was a borderline pitch, the guy's playing his last game he's ever played in his career for a franchise that he's going to go into the Hall of Fame as. That's my opinion. I know people will debate that, but again, the fact that it's even debatable speaks enough volumes that you should at least just bite your tongue. Just let it go, man. There's nothing Joey Votto could possibly say that would make you be able to, you should throw him out. In fact, I don't really 100% even believe the fact that Joey Votto would argue a pitch that long if there wasn't at least some rebuttal back from the umpire as well. So I don't know the whole dialogue or the whole exchange. I just know that inevitably, have a clue, I guess, is what I really want to say. Just have a clue. It feels like that guy didn't have a clue. And to sit here and say, well, that's not his job, and, his job's just to call balls and strikes, blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right, that's fine. Give me a break, I mean, we had a chance to at least a couple more at-bats with 19. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it even happened. I didn't even really get a chance to enjoy the first at-bat, quite honestly, because there was so much other stuff going on. I don't know, maybe St. Louis is usually, honestly, a good baseball city. You would have liked to have thought that his last at-bat coming up, there would have been something there, and that all just gets taken away. So, I am trying my best not to scream and yell into a microphone about this, but that umpire, for lack of a better term, is a kid. It's a kid show, but I would say a lot of nasty things about him.
The St. Louis crowd actually gave Votto it was like a giant standing ovation, but you could tell Like it was some cheering for him, some
Right.
appreciation when he came up. So even if that umpire maybe forgot about like where Joey Votto was, like it was pretty obvious, like that first at bat, that St. Louis was appreciating him. So he was reminded of it then. So it's a bad look, man. That's a bad look. I'm sure he's getting, crap for it. So I'm sure that it's not a good look. And I know Joey tweeted out after the fact that it was on me. That's just Joey Votto being classy. Like Joey Votto doesn't believe that.
What did Joey Votto say?
He tweeted out like, basically saying, I can't do that. I'm sorry for getting thrown out of the game. The umpire was right, but that's just Joey Votto being classy. That's
correct.
Not...
Yeah, if anything, that seems like Votto's kind of that's just another way to dig in to that guy.
Yeah,
just one more nice final dig, and wait until that guy's at Great American Ballpark on a random July in the middle of 2024, and Trace Fowler shows up. I'll let him know about it. In fact, I might even make it I might even just make it a thing where I look up to see the umpires for every game I go to, and I'll just I won't do anything nasty, guys, but I am just gonna give them hey, really appreciate what you did to Votto that last game you did there. That's really nice of you, and then just walk away every time. That guy's gonna know. He's gonna be like, this random guy every time I go to Great American Ballpark just does that to me before every single first pitch. So I probably will because I'm petty like that. All right. Final thoughts on Votto. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say besides the fact that he's been unbelievable, hell of a career. I've already kind of said my piece about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we kind of did. We kind of said everything we needed to say after the final game at Great American Ballpark. But yeah, incredible career. A player that made me a bigger Reds fan than I was when he came into the league, and I think it's going to be cool to see players like Will Benson, who's given Joey a lot of credit for his leadership. Kind of there might be some long lasting effects of Joey Votto from this year, and that'll be cool to see going forward.
Yeah. All right. I told you there'd be some big news in this show, and this is probably the time to say it. And I just want to say again, there was a comment made on the last YouTube show about how we always say, I can't believe there's this many people in here, and we say thank you and all that. And he brought up the point, or she brought up the point that that maybe we just people tune in because they think me and you or whatever. I don't know. They like us, I guess. I don't really know how to even begin to say thank you for this. I'll try not to get emotional because you bust your ass your whole life to do things like this, of what I'm about to do. Nick Kirby's been busting his ass for a very long time. And there was a guy named John at Deep South Commodities who supported this show. And we've had some others support the show. Bedfred's been on here from the very beginning, and when I tell you Nick Kirby makes this show go, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I also want to say something really quickly before I get into this. Our wives and our family, for the most part, make this possible too. For 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours every single night, for 162 nights, we are basically gone from our families. And they were very sacrificing to allow us to do this. Your wife has been incredibly nice. She came down to obviously Chatterbox Reds night, and all I did was just tell her thank you for letting Nick do this. And she was just brushing it off like it was no big deal. But ultimately, my wife and your wife, they deserve an award too for just giving us the ability to do this. We have kids. We have kids, and it's not easy if you have kids to know that, hey, for 4 hours every single night, you got to put the kids down, you got to brush their teeth, you got to get them ready for bed, you put them to bed, and then there's Trace and Nick just having a jolly good time, smashing beers and drinking bourbon shots and talking to the chat and doing whatever the hell we want to do. But at DSC, and John made this possible. And we'll have to figure out all the details. But I told Nick this back in the off season. I said, I don't know where this show is going to go, blah, 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 blah. But if you just trust me, I think we could do something pretty cool. I don't know Nick's total situation, so we'll figure out how that goes. But Nick, I'll tell you straight to your face right now, you have a full-time job at Chatterbox Sports if you want it. I know that there's decisions that need to be made. This isn't an easy one for you. I know ultimately you want to come back, possibly back to Cincinnati at some point. Your wife's talked about that. I've done the numbers. I've done the numbers. I've done everything I can to try to make sure that, you know, you're not just making an irrational decision and, you know, next thing you know, in 3 months, we're going to tell you that, you know, we're out of money or something like that. So I can promise you that that's good. But I just want to say again that John, who has a very successful business at Deep South Commodities, told me straight to my face the other day that he knows that we probably aren't going to be able to help him get one single dollar that's going to help him go to his business. But he really loves this show, and he wanted to support it, and he wanted to try to figure out and help it. And that really got us over the hump. That got us to where we needed to get to. So I don't want to sit here and make this about me, because it's not actually. It's really about DSC genuinely just being unbelievably generous. And, yeah. And I know that he doesn't want that. I mean, I know that he doesn't want that. He's said that openly. But again, I just can't possibly imagine sitting here telling everybody that just happened without John and his team at Deep South Commodities making that possible. So the other thing I want to say too really quickly, Nick, before you say something, is this. Nick never did this for money, man. And that's what, like, I'll get emotional talking about this, because he just wanted to do it. And it was his dream to do this. He's been doing this for years, busting his ass, not making a single dollar. In fact, before we started this, it wasn't even about money. I told him I would give him a little bit of money, and he's like, oh, I don't care about that. I mean, it's a little bit better. Obviously, I'll take what I can take, but, you know, it's a little bit better. I think that's verbatim what you said. So it was never about the money. It was never about trying to make this a career or anything like that in general terms. You just loved the Reds. You wanted to be a part of it. You trusted me. And, you know, where this goes, I don't know. You know, whether you got to stay up there and whether we're able to figure out the details of you coming down here, I have no idea. But I hope that you know that you're appreciated. And I also have a receipt after you get done talking, because I have something that I want to show everybody and say that this is why you just let the haters hate.
Of course you have a receipt.
I do have some receipts. I'll show them after you're done talking.
Nah, this has been incredible. You know, I'll be honest, when you approached me, I was like, hey, this sounds cool. I was like, I really love what Chatterbox is doing. I'd watched it off the bench. I was like, man, their graphics look really cool. They look like they're doing a good job. I was like, hey, what the hell? I'll give it a shot for a year. We'll see what happens. And I mean, I don't know. When we got in like that 12-game win streak and there was like hundreds and hundreds of people watching this, I was just blown away. And like, we say that sincerely, like when you say, can't believe how many people are watching, because like we did this on opening day and there was like 30 people watching. We appreciate the 30 of you that were watching on opening day. Don't get me wrong. You people were incredible and helped build this, and it just took off to way bigger heights than ever could have dreamed. And yeah, I mean, look, it's been my dream to talk baseball forever. And I'll be honest, like my wife has pushed me, my family's pushed me, and I've always been like, look, there's so many people that are a lot smarter than me, that have a lot more better credentials, that aren't able to make a living off this, that have to do stuff on the side. And so I've always been like, yeah, I just do it for fun. And, you know, and Trace has just been awesome doing this with you this year. And I just so happy with how far it's come, and so happy with the Reds too. Like that's the that's the headline here is what the Reds did this season. I mean, made any of this possible, right? Because if the Reds had straight sucked this year, we could have been doing the best work in the world. And I don't know how far it would have gone, but you know, the future for the Reds is bright. The future for Chatterbox Sports is bright, and let's ride, baby.
Ned Flanders. I have some super chats to get to, but I just want to show everybody something. And you know what? Before I share this, I'm gonna preface it by saying I don't know any of these people. I don't know any of these people. These people could be good people. I have no idea who they are. Okay. But I'm going to tell you something. I've manifested a few things in my life. I really have, and I've speaking things to fruition. I seen this. I'm not kidding you. I seen this, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna screen grab that because there's gonna be a day where I'm gonna be able to use it. And to think that I was gonna be able to use it on the last day of this season is crazy. And like I said before, John is a big reason as to why that was possible. But this shows you that in life, sometimes you shouldn't always trust what other people say about you. I'm gonna read this, and this is a kids show, so if you have kids, buckle your ears up. Imagine being someone trying to make a career out of being a baseball fan through media, and your favorite team is the shitty ass Cincinnati fucking Reds. That blows. Need a new hand. Go fish, brother. Well, Nick just got a full-time job, making more money than he's making at his current job right now. So go fish, brother. All right. That was nice. You deserve it, Nick. I know you don't want to. I know you want to be a humble pie. I know you want to sit here. I know you want to sit here and not make this about yourself. But I'm going to give you your flowers for just a second, folks. This guy scheduled every damn stream there was. This guy did every box score recap there was. Hell, I did a box score recap one night, and I was like, golly, this takes forever. I mean, to do it the way it takes forever. This guy put up the podcast probably 98% of the time. He made this show possible. He made this show possible. So I know that I'm somewhat a part of it. I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm not and anything like that. But again, when I say this show doesn't run without Nick, I'm just here to tell you it doesn't run without Nick. We have a full winter to get sponsorships, okay? We have some things. We have a super chat already suggesting we should get a Patreon to support Nick's salary. This isn't about you guys having to support something that we didn't already try to support in and of itself, but I just want to say that your support is the reason that we can do these types of things. If there was, again, nobody watching, nobody caring, nobody super chatting, then it wouldn't matter. Next year, again, I just want to say before we get into the Reds offseason here one last time, we really do need, how do I say this? I'm going to try, and I say I as in like build a group of people around us to build the best place to obtain Reds content that there is. And whether that has a small paywall behind it, it might, but more importantly, I think behind the paywall, you're going to get stuff from us that you won't be able to get anywhere else. And on top of that, it's going to be 3 times worth its money if we do it. So we'll see what ultimately ends up happening. This show will always be free. I don't want anybody to think that we're turning into, basically some show where we're going away from what got us here per se, but that's not the case. But the podcast, this show, always free, to be clear, before anybody thinks otherwise. But I just want to say thank you to everybody, and that was the big news. Now we can kind of discuss what we have next, where we're going, and what the plan is. Go ahead.
One more thing. I want to make sure I echo what you said about like our wives. My wife gave up so much for me to be able to do this all summer. Yeah, I mean, none of this is possible without her. Gave up a lot, and means a lot that she's believed in me more than I've believed in myself, to be honest. And then also, we do got a shout out. I hope I don't miss anyone. I meant to write this down and I forgot, but Craig Sandlin, Bryce Spalding, Clay Snowden,
Yep,
Shea Neal,
yep,
all those guys helped us. There's no way we would have survived 162 games, and God knows you would not have wanted me to try to do this solo. So shout out to those guys who came on and helped us, get through this season. Reds Daily. Are we allowed to say Reds Daily does the? Okay, yeah. Reds Daily does all the clips, which I know drastically helped, I think, the show grow. People seeing us act like buffoons when during the 12-game win streak, clipped all that stuff up.
Yes.
I would send Reds Daily just a quick timestamp, and like 10 minutes later, it's posted up on the internet. I didn't select all those clips, so a few of the bad ones I had no part of. Only the good ones. The ones that got quoted to blow up, I had no part of those. Maybe one or two, but but yeah, no, and I mean, and thanks to like Charlie Goldsmith came on like the first podcast we did. C. Trent Rosecrans, all the minor league guys.
Sadak saying some stuff over the air during the broadcasts. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been very, very kind to us. And I think a lot of that's the sweat equity that you've put in, Nick. I really do. So but you're right. I mean, there's a lot of people to thank. And I think that we're going to get more and more people involved. I mean, I really want to try to, as crazy as this sounds, I think that there's so much more opportunity for what we can do. And I don't want to say I half-tailed it. That's the term I guess we'll use. I don't want to say that I half-tailed it, but there's a lot of things moving and going right now at Chatterbox Sports, and I'm trying to get the foundational pieces put together right now. But once I'm able to kind of focus on something specific like this, I'm going to make this a main priority going into this off season, trying to find more avenues of ways to make all this make sense. So, like I said, John at Deep South Commodities is what a very humble, what a very generous thing for him to do. And I hope one day, and I told him this, I hope one day that I get to be as successful as he has been and be able to find somebody that deserves something and be able to bless them, because that's what he did. And, I don't know, not to turn this into a preaching service, but God is good. All right, some super chats really quickly. Andrew said, I love this show and this community. I'm looking forward to watching you guys after every game next season. Thank you, Andrew. You've been a loyal supporter of this show. Mark Fetters, man. A great supporter of our show. So thanks, Nick, Trace, and everyone in the chat. Russ Adkins said, I had a great time with a great season. Very glad I found this show and all the people involved. Hope next year is as good as good and a lot longer. Russ, I agree. I think that we're on the very, very, very start of a beautiful trajectory for this franchise, and I also think that it can get rough at times. This isn't going to be smooth sailing per se, but without question, I definitely believe in this franchise right now. Ned Flanders says, need a Patreon account next year. We can crowdsource Nick's salary. He'll work on commission, paid for each Stuart Fairchild update. Poor Nick and Stuart Fairchild, man. Who knew that Nick was going to get
two doubles in the final day of the season, and he struck out to end the season.
He did strike out to end the season.
That was a Stuart Fairchild game for you.
Yeah. Sir Boy Wonder said, I will offer my mansion to Nick Kirby to stay for free. There you go. You already got kids, people.
Two kids too, Sir Boy. Yeah. Be careful what you wish for. Can you not hear him?
Ricky Logan says, greatest show of all time. Thank you, Ricky. There's a lot of people that didn't super chat. I mean, listen, there's so many people. There's so many people that I see in this chat every single night, right? Like if I start naming a few, then I'll start feeling bad that I missed somebody. So I really want to be hesitant of that. But there's so many of you that we'll be back. We're not dying. At least we hope we're not. If we die, then by all means, I guess that would be the end of it, wouldn't it? But without anything crazy happens, we plan to come back. And as far as the offseason go, Nick, as far as the offseason goes, there are some dates. We don't know if we're going to have a set schedule, everybody. So sorry about that. We are going to take a little bit of a break, though. We're going to take a little bit of a break, at least get probably through the postseason, maybe through the World Series. But Nick will run you through what this offseason calendar kind of looks like and maybe some plans.
Yeah, just to kind of give people an idea of what's coming up with the offseason. 5 days after the World Series, so that could be anywhere from November 5th to 9th, is when Joey Votto's option will be officially have to be accepted or declined. And that's all options across baseball. November 17th, this is something when we get a little closer to that, it's something I know I personally am going to be very invested in. I think it's one of the most fascinating thing if you're really into the nerdy side of baseball is the non-tender deadline. That'll be guys like Nick Senzel, Stuart Fairchild. The list goes on of players who you have to keep on the 40-man roster. Some of the relievers, different guys like that. So when we get a little bit closer and we kind of have a little bit better of an idea, there'll be, I believe, right before that. I believe by the end of the World Series, you have to take the players off the 60-day IL, which is like guys like Nick Lodolo and Graham Ashcraft. And then you have to cut some others. So we'll have a little bit better of an idea, but that'll be definitely something I want to cover. And then Red Fest, December 1st through 2nd. I will definitely be coming down. I'm working on hopefully getting some content and some opportunities with that, but I can't really say anything yet about that. But I will definitely be down there, and I'd love to meet any of you that's there. I'd love to say hi. And then December 4th through 6th, the winter meetings. I think, Trace, the Reds are going to be pretty active in the winter meetings this year. I definitely know there's a lot more opportunities. So I don't know. We'll see when we get a little closer to that. I mean, we might do shows every night if we think there's interest. I don't know. We'll just see. I know, Trace, I know we both are on the same page here. We want to continue to provide content, but I don't want to be forced to provide content because I don't want anything that's not, I don't want to, authentic feels like the wrong word, but I don't want to just jump on just to fill a show and here's our top 5 favorite catchers of all time or something like that we're just trying to fill. I want it to be something real, but I'll assure you this, folks. If there's any Reds news that breaks throughout this entire offseason, we'll get on the air as quick as we can and we'll cover that. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, we started this show in April, and it looked completely different by mid-May. So we'll kind of see how the offseason goes, what people want to do. I know people might want more concrete answers like that, but we're a show of the people, really. I mean, this show's about the people that watch. And we want to continue to make sure we're providing content that is hopefully stuff you like.
Yeah. Jeff says, guys can't thank you enough. So grateful. Thank you for that super chat. If there was time to name every single person in this chat, I would. I hope you realize that we love engaging with you. We don't just take you for granted. We try to look at the comments. We try to be fair and honest. If you have something that you point out that we think is great, we read it. Sometimes the chat's gotten so busy now where it's kind of hard to really find the comments all the time. You might say the best comment of the night, and we just it just moves right along, and sometimes you just don't even get a chance to see it. But again, we'll get the final details on the thing with Nick. I don't know if you knew this was coming. I know that he probably had an idea, maybe, because I was poking and prodding him for a little while on just some of the details on where he was at in his life and what was going on, and trying to be a little. Did you have an idea? I mean, did you know, or did you just was it where were we at on that?
Trace, with you, man, I just I'm on the seat of my pants every day, brother. I just show up and we have a good time, and I just see where it takes us. It's the way to ride with Chatterbox Sports, baby.
I didn't know if you knew. I was trying to poke and prod for a minute and figure out, where where are you working at, this, that, and the next, and we'll figure out all the details. But the Deep South Commodities, I know he's probably sick and tired of me saying it already, but I don't care, man. What a guy that guy is. What a guy John is. So just the fact that everybody's so happy for you two. I'm thrilled to death about that. So we'll do a hot stove show. We'll do a bunch of stuff, guys. Like don't think for a second that it's not going to be something. So we're gonna, sometimes I get excited about the fact that if Nick has been doing this for years, he's been doing it this year as a secondary thing. What all happens when you get to a position where you this is the main thing. So we'll figure out what all that means. And there's so many nice things that you guys are all saying about us. We have 96 likes. Please just like the show one more time. I know we can't win tomorrow, so that stick is gone. Boy, nothing pissed Who's Your Daddy off more than when we were asking for likes and the Reds were losing.
Love you, Hoosier. Love you for watching every night, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that we should love. I mean, there's so many. There's so many. In fact, there's going to probably be something that I create like a chat hall of fame. All right, folks. My son plays a flag football tonight at 7:00, which means that we have to get off of here at some point. I also want to tell all of you that that we really do love you. And I hope that you don't just think that that's just lip service and that's something that everybody says on their shows and blah, blah, blah. But you basically gave this man right here an opportunity to do something that he's dreamed of doing for a very, very long time. Because if there was 5 people watching this show, as much as DSC and as much as John probably loved this show, he probably wouldn't be as he'd probably be a little apprehensive to want to do what he's done. So, you guys are the bomb. I have standards. I seen Logan's asking for one more dunk. I have standards. The dunks only come after wins. Pillows only come after wins. That's what makes them special. That's what makes them special. We can't do it. I've looked at this thing for 2 weeks, and this is gonna have to. I don't know if it's gonna be worth a by the time I get to puff it. But this is gonna find a spot in the office. It's just gonna sit there. It's gonna sit there, and one day we'll all smoke that bad boy together. Virtually, of course. And it just so happens that the Sunday in Oakland shirts didn't need to get printed. Maybe. Marlins lost.
Did they finish a game back?
2.
No, they finished 2 back.
2. But you could make the argument that if they would have won today, they would have
Thursday
had to win
and
yesterday. Yeah.
Wednesday in Cincinnati against the Marlins can be printed.
Yeah. Saturday in Cincinnati. There's so many of those. All right. Anything else before we take off?
Well, we got to go over tomorrow's starting pitchers. March 28th, 2024, baby. We don't have a time yet. Reds, Nats. Let's go. That's a good way to start the season. Hopefully the Nats don't go out and spend $7,000 billion this offseason and they pull a Steve Cohen. But Reds, Nats, we'll be here. I mean, we'll be here for spring training, obviously. I really, one thing I will say, it was a grind doing those podcasts about spring training. But I tell you what, I've never gone into the season and felt like I knew the team better than just honestly reading the box score every day and having to talk about it. So, yeah, we'll definitely do that again. I think people like that, the spring training, really quick, short recap. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
Trace, why don't you run through all the shows that Chatterbox does? Since we'll be off the air for a little bit, for a short time, so make sure people can tune into everything else.
Yep. Chatterbox Bengals. I know right now that's not the most lovely show to probably watch, but they're doing the same type of concept with the Cincinnati Bengals as we done with the Reds. So as soon as the game's over, they got 3 guys talking about it. We got Kyle Kasky with the C-Box clicker. He breaks down film. If you're interested in football at all, it's a pretty good show to watch. Coach Kyle Kasky has been in the NFL. He's been a coach in the NFL. Breaks down Bengals films. That is on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. And then some other shows. The Chatter is another show that we're doing right now. And that's with Chuck and Houdini. They kind of do more of a comedic relief, if you will, if you're into that type of thing. You can check them out. And Mac and JT, that is Casey McAllister, the old primed and positioned producer of Off the Bench. He's doing an NFL show with an intern that we had named Jacob, and I think that those two guys are pretty entertaining and knowledgeable about the NFL. And then, of course, right now you have Off the Bench with me because Tom Brenneman has been out for quite some time with a vocal cord situation. That is a large reason as to why I am pretty much almost burnt to a crisp. But I'm almost there. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Tom is back next Monday. So I got one more week to hold the fort down with Off the Bench. But this is it for this show for 2023. And what a time it's been, Nick. And I just want to again reiterate to everybody, it's been a hell of a season. It was a fun season. We won 82 baseball games, which is a lot more than we thought. And I can't wait for when we start to win 90, 95, dare I say 100, and make some deep runs in the postseason, have some watch parties together. Go to postseason games. That's going to be the next thing. As a reminder, we will be doing a season ticket group, and we've already got the tickets. And as a part of that, you will get a very, very good chance to be able to go to a postseason game with face value tickets. So if this team ever gets a chance to go to the World Series, which I hope they do in the near future, then we will have 24 tickets to the World Series. And 24 tickets to the World Series for every single game. You add up possibility of 4 games. That's pretty much almost every single person in that season ticket group would have a chance to go to a game if it were to go to 4 games. But otherwise, I just want to reiterate to everybody, we'll run this outro one more time. We'll start this thing fresh next year. We promise. I'll have that intro done. I'll have that intro done. I can promise you that. But it's been a blessing. It's been an honor. And again, a huge thank you to Deep South Commodities. A huge thank you to all of you that have been here from day one and the ones that just came along. Many of you have been here for a very long time. And our day is coming. Stay positive. It's just a game. It's just baseball. Enjoy it for what it is. It's a small glimpse of outside of reality for many people. Don't take it too serious. Don't get too down. We're going to try to boost you up when things are tough. We're going to try to be as informational and as knowledgeable as we possibly can. But we're never going to be apologetic for being Reds fans, because that's what we are. We're Reds fans. We're going to be optimistic. We're going to be as honest as we can be. We're going to be realistic. Most of all, we're going to have fun with all of you. And our day is coming. Go Reds. We'll see ya.